Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
Hello, here are tonight's main stories.
Threats ignored. The officer warned by Damien Bendel he would kill his girlfriend and children gives evidence at their inquest. We'll have the latest from the third day of the hearing.
Fighting for a diagnosis, a new ADHD pilot scheme in York comes under fire, as those looking for answers say they're being ignored.
I think it would give me the clarity to move forward, to understand that this is why this is happening, but also to access the services of medication.
Local hero, a plaque's unveiled in Cudworth for the late king of chat shows, Sir Michael Parkinson.
And join me later in the programme to find out why the discovery of this book caused quite a stir down here at the Leeds Central Library.
Thanks for joining us. First tonight, an officer who failed to report a warning by Damien Bendel that he would kill his girlfriend and her children has been giving evidence today at the inquest into their deaths.
It came in June 2021 as she was fitting him with an electronic monitoring tag. Just 3 months later, Bendel carried out the attacks in Killamarsh, murdering Terry Harris, her 2 children and a family friend. He's now serving a whole life sentence.
It's the third day of the inquest at Chesterfield Coroner's Court. Adam Fowler has been there. Good evening, Adam. What did the officer have to say?
Well, we heard yesterday how Damien Bendel told the woman who was fitting his electronic ankle tag in June 2021 that if this relationship goes bad, I'll murder my girlfriend and the children. And today we heard from Field Monitoring Officer Jeanette Connolly, now Jeanette Berry. She said she was shocked by the comments, especially because he mentioned the children, but she didn't report it. When asked by the coroner why, she said she thought it was said to shock or belittle her and not said in anger or an aggressive way, and that she was used to threats of violence. She was asked when would you report it, and she said if it's towards us, if they suggest they'll take their own lives and things like that. We don't unless it's a proper threat to someone in the house or us. We don't. If he'd said it in front of the children with aggression, I'd have reported it right away. Well, this was at the property in Killamarsh where Damien Bendel would go on to murder Terry Harris, her 11-year-old daughter Lacey Bennett, 13-year-old son John Paul Bennett, and 11-year-old friend Connie Gent. On leaving the property, she commented, "He lives up to his name, Damien, 666, the Omen." Representing Jason Bennett, the father, Paul Clark, asked, "You thought you were in the presence of evil?" She said, "He shocked me. He just shocked me. I didn't think he was capable of murder."
And Adam, we also heard from the probation services today.
Yes, this afternoon we heard from Aisha Fatima, who had only 5 months of experience before she was assigned to Damien Bendel in June 2021. She said she felt she had imposter syndrome in the role and didn't feel confident in her abilities, but was 100% able to do the job. She did express concerns about Bendel potentially smoking cannabis near the children after he'd admitted that he smoked it first thing in the morning and after they'd gone to bed at night. She also recorded his description of himself as callous and manipulative. She said she wasn't scared of him, but felt if she pushed him too far or challenged him, he may go on to commit further offences.
Adam, live for us tonight at Chesterfield. Thank you so much.
Next tonight, to the people in York who say their lives are being put on hold because of the difficulties in accessing a diagnosis for possible ADHD, that's Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. That's because of a controversial approach to cut assessment backlogs by the city's health bosses. That means only those who meet the most urgent of criteria can be seen.
What started out as a pilot scheme that's now been extended is now facing criticism, including from one disability group in York, which is calling for the suspension of the scheme. Molly Sharples has been hearing how that's been impacting one woman who thinks she may have ADHD.
Bills, because I've not done the paperwork correctly. Eye appointments, we've just not gone.
When home becomes overwhelming, single mum Sherelle comes here to walk off the stress. But the bills she can't face have followed her to the park today.
It's that, am I going to be able to deal with this letter? Do I have the financial funds? Do I have the capacity to get to the appointment? These are all factors that directly impact how I approach these letters.
Sherelle believes she has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, otherwise known as ADHD. It's almost a year since she approached her GP for an assessment, but she's still waiting.
I think it would give me the clarity to move forward, to understand that this is why this is happening, but also to access the services of medication, just an action plan.
ADHD is a condition which affects people's behaviour. There are many symptoms, but it can impact organisation and time management, focus and completing tasks, and coping with stress. In March, York's Integrated Care Board introduced a pilot scheme to deal with the city's ADHD assessment backlog. Almost 1,000 people were waiting an average time of 108 weeks to be assessed. Now, organisers say that has been reduced, but it comes with a caveat.
The pilot scheme means that people in York who think they may have ADHD are now only allowed access to an assessment if they meet a narrow criteria. They pose immediate risk to themselves or others. Their access to serious medical treatment depends on a diagnosis. An imminent family court decision relies on a diagnosis, or they are on a formal mental health plan.
If this was any other area of healthcare where you're being denied the right to support and a diagnosis and treatment and care, people would be outraged. Why is it okay to continue with the neurodiversity community?
Originally a 3-month trial, the scheme has now been extended to last a year, a decision which has been questioned by the local MP.
For some it's been more harm than good, for others it has left them in a space of still not knowing where they stand.
We approached the York ICB about the concerns surrounding the ADHD pilot scheme, but they didn't respond. They've previously said the changes are in context of growing demand for adult autism and ADHD assessments, resulting in unacceptable waiting times and the need to prioritise resources towards most at-risk adults. They went on to say there had been no system for identifying those most in need of urgent help, and the pilot allows more people to be seen and diagnosed more quickly. For people like Sherelle, who don't meet the criteria, their journey to get the help they say they need currently has no end in sight.
And the latest news we can give you is that the NHS Humber and North Yorkshire ICB has confirmed they've received a letter sent by lawyers on behalf of York Disability Rights Forum. They've said that they'll address the issues in that letter directly to lawyers representing them.
You're watching Wednesday night's calendar, and still to come tonight. Parky tribute, friends and family gather in Cudworth as a plaque's unveiled to the late chat show host.
And Explorer Extraordinaire, rare photos of Scott's first Antarctic expedition are uncovered in Leeds Library. Events are taking place now in Bradford and Leeds in response to the conflict in Israel and Gaza, which has claimed more than 2,000 lives in an ever-deepening crisis. In Bradford, a march and rally to City Hall, organised by the city's Friends of Palestine, set off earlier this afternoon, just outside the city centre.
If the leaders of the powerful countries have got a game plan, they're playing a game with us, we as ordinary people can oppose that. We can say that we can work together, and that's what we're asking for.
Meanwhile, in Leeds, a vigil for Israel is due to start around now. These are live pictures in Millennium Square. The event's organised by the city's Jewish community to remember those who've died. The fighting was prompted by a surprise attack on Israel by Hamas on Saturday and is now into its 5th day.
The purpose of tonight's vigil is to help a community which is truly in shock and desperately sad, to demonstrate solidarity with what's going on in Israel. And this is a community that is hugely connected to Israel in terms of family ties.
And the Mayor of South Yorkshire has condemned those involved in removing the Israeli flag from Sheffield Town Hall last night, replacing it with a Palestinian flag. Oliver Coppard said the action did not reflect the values of the region. He said he would work with faith and community leaders and the police to move forward. The Union flag is now flying.
And of course, events in the Middle East are dominating the ITV evening news at 6:30. Here's Mary Nightingale with more.
Coming up in the programme, the growing humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The last remaining source of power there shuts down as Israeli troops prepare to move in. Here, flight disruption for tens of thousands of passengers after last night's massive car park fire in Luton. And after 14 years, this morning says goodbye to Holly Willoughby. Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Thank you very much, Mary. Now to the campaign by black women who are going through chemotherapy for more Afro-style wig options.
It's well known that wigs can help improve the confidence and mental health of those going through chemotherapy. But a survey of black women with breast cancer found that more than 3/4 of those who lost their hair weren't offered a suitable wig. Catherine Walker has been talking to some women who want to change that.
To be told that actually you haven't been thought about enough to provide the thing that's going to make you feel a bit better is really, really upsetting.
Leanne Adu was devastated when her hair fell out during chemotherapy. She hoped a wig would help rebuild her confidence. But when she turned up to her NHS appointment, she was given a straight brown bob that didn't look anything like her natural afro hair.
It really did do the opposite of what it was meant to do. I had high value on my hair before I lost it, and the one thing that I felt would make me feel like me would be having hair that looked like my hair. And so I didn't wear the wig at all because I just knew that it would draw more attention to me than me going out without any hair.
Research shows the trauma of chemotherapy can be reduced if patients have access to natural-looking wigs. But a survey of women of colour with breast cancer found that more than 3/4 of those who lost their hair weren't offered a suitable wig.
Just weaving them in and out of the threads.
Concerned about the lack of options, wig maker Caroline worked with the Little Princess Trust to make the first Afro wig in the UK from human hair.
So it's a hair texture which isn't easy to work with, which is why factories kind of go away from that and use straighter hair textures. We worked with the charity, we developed ways in which we worked with the hair in terms of natural wefting techniques and processing the hair in a way where it didn't cause those potential issues. And then from there, it flew.
Now, this cancer charity in Sheffield is one of many across the country who say it's important that Afro wigs are readily available.
It impacts patients in lots of different ways, both females and males. Hair is a really important part of people's identity, and as a result of cancer treatment, unfortunately, people can lose the hair. So it's really important to be able to give people that choice and also to help them to feel better and to gain some of that identity back.
The NHS told ITV News that procurement is done locally and each trust should ensure that all patients who need one are given a wig that is right for them. But until there is a full range of real and synthetic wigs to suit everyone, Caroline and Leanne say they will keep fighting for better representation. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
Next tonight, Cudworth born and bred. He's remembered for his warmth and wit, characterising him as a Yorkshireman in the truest sense. The broadcaster, Sir Michael Parkinson, who passed away in August this year, never lost touch with his roots.
He certainly didn't, did he? And now a plaque in his honour has been unveiled in his hometown of Cudworth. Our reporter Holly Goodall was there.
He became a familiar face in everyone's living room. His warmth and candour putting anyone at ease, from Hollywood actors to sports stars. But despite all the showbiz, he never lost touch with his Yorkshire roots. And now here in Cudworth, where he was born and raised, a permanent tribute to the local lad, done good.
He was proud of his roots. In fact, one of his earliest ambitions was to own a house in Barnsley opposite Oakwell, the home of Barnsley Football Club. It's actually one of the only ambitions he didn't really achieve. Well, that and not getting to marry Ingrid Bergman. My father wasn't show busy. He wasn't interested in fame for fame's sake. You know, fame was literally just something that happened because you were good at what you did. And it's what's heartening is that people are here today because they liked him as a man.
Among those who knew him best, former cricket umpire and lifelong friend Dickie Bird.
I miss him because, as I said earlier, you know, if I had any problem, I used to get on the phone to him. And if he wanted me or something going up for him, he'd bring me, and you know, and we had a close friendship. Well, I would think we were the closest two people in the world.
Plans for the plaque were brought forward by the town's local history society and the magazine Chew and Cud, of which Sir Michael was patron.
He was very generous to the when we had him for the patron. Very generous and what have you, and he always used to send a nice letter. But yeah, he was a nice chappy and what have you thing. He was a proper Yorkshireman, he said what he thought.
Parky's isn't the only plaque on the wall. Dorothy Hyman, who still holds the record for an Olympic sprint, gives her name to the Sports Centre, which Sir Michael opened in 1972.
Hopefully people will read it and think about the history of it and feel that they can do the same.
Cuddiff, when he was born, was a community that really nurtured him, that helped him become the man he was, but he never forgot that.
And they'll never forget him. Holly Goodall, ITV News in Cuddiff.
Oh, some fantastic Yorkshire accents in that fitting tribute to Sir Michael Parkinson.
And it's so lovely to see all the photos of him.
Yeah, really nice. That one with Mary at the very end there, his wife, was a lovely one, wasn't it? Yeah, fantastic.
Lovely. OK, well, some sport now, and Yorkshire County Cricket Club have appointed Harry Chatley as their new chairman. The 58-year-old business leader succeeds interim chair Baroness Tanny Gray-Thompson, who will remain on the board as a non-executive director.
Now, I'm sure many of us will know the story of Scott of the Antarctic, his race to reach the South Pole and then his death trying to get home.
Well, you might not know. That was Scott's second expedition to Antarctica. His first came some 9 years earlier in 1901.
Yes, and now, thanks to a discovery Scott himself would have been proud of, part of that story has been uncovered at the Leeds Central Library. We sent Chris Dawkes to find out more.
So here it is.
Incredible.
So this is what I found on the shelves in our strong room.
A unique gateway into British history. In 1901, Robert Falcon Scott, later known as Scott of the Antarctic, led his first expedition into Antarctica. When his ship Discovery ran into trouble the following year, it was rescued by another brave crew, the story of which has now been brought to life thanks to a 21st century discovery at the Leeds Central Library.
It's a photograph album that documents the journey of the relief ship The Morning to Captain Robert Falcon Scott's expedition. It just really captures the camaraderie of the crew, the wildlife they discovered, and the whole journey really.
Well, it was whilst conducting an audit here in the vaults beneath the Leeds Central Library that Rhiann stumbled across this unassuming book on the shelves. It was the spine that really caught her attention, and when she opened the book, well, she discovered a more than century-old time capsule.
We have thousands and thousands of books, prints, photographs in the library, so we can't know everything individually. So every so often we do come across a real treasure like this that perhaps hasn't been seen for decades.
Your own little discovery.
Yes.
We've lived with the story of his exploits from the beginning of the last century, so to discover this is part of our history.
Adam Fowler from Hull is the great-grandson of Alfred Cheetham, who was a crew member on board The Morning in 1902.
It was no accident that many of the crew on these expeditions were from Hull. My great-great-grandfather was a trawlerman, but many of the other crews from Hull were on various expeditions. But this is real history, this means something to us, and you can almost feel it and touch it.
So we think this is actually the discovery, and that person there is Scott.
Wow.
Just how this book ended up in Leeds is itself a voyage into the unknown. Scott's story, of course, ended after his second expedition reached the South Pole. We now know a bit more about his first trip to the snow-covered depths of the Earth, thanks to these photographs, frozen in time for over 100 years. Chris Dawkes, ITV News, Leeds.
What a find. I'd love to find something like that.
I know, what else is hidden away in that
I
library?
know. It just makes me want to go and have a rummage around.
Oh, well, if you're not here tomorrow, we'll know why.
Yeah. Well, there's just time now to mention a remarkable man who was born just 20 years after Scott's 1902 expedition. It's a very happy 100th birthday to D-Day veteran Jack Mortimer from Seacroft in Leeds. Now, Jack was just 20 when he was the first from his landing craft to jump onto Sword Beach in June 1944. Today, a surprise birthday party was held for him at Leeds Civic Hall, with family coming in from as far afield as Canada to share the memories of his special day.
Started off this morning at 10 o'clock and I hadn't stopped yet. And some of my friends came, they'd been there, and then the people from Canada. So I have had such a nice day today. One doesn't recognise mainly that there are so nice people in this world. There are some nice people.
Happy birthday, Jack. What a gentleman.
And doesn't he look great for 100?
Oh, doesn't he?
He looks
Just,
fantastic.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Hope you had a wonderful day. Right, here's James Wright with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello there, good evening. A brighter day tomorrow, but cooler for many places. We've got this front with us at the moment. That's going to push to the south. We do get another little dose of wet weather on Friday, but the pattern into the weekend is for cooler conditions, bringing a few showers into our neck of the woods and certainly getting cooler than we've been getting used to. Now, this evening, we start to see that front move to the south of us, taking a lot of the thicker cloud with it. There will be some leftover cloud, but it's much more broken, much higher level. The breaks in the cloud allowing temperatures with lighter winds to get down to around 4 or 5 Celsius. So in rural spots could get cooler than that, and that's enough for a touch of ground or grass frost. We haven't seen that in about 2 or 3 weeks. So tomorrow, much sunnier, much nicer compared to today. Some good autumn sunshine out there to enjoy. Odd puff affair with the cloud drifting through. Light breezes, so not a bad October day. Some nice sunshine out there to enjoy, and highs of 12 or 13 Celsius, 14 if you're lucky. So much cooler than it has been of late. A bit of rain around on Friday, a bit breezy too. That eventually clears away into the afternoon. You start to see that gateway to cooler air moving in from the north and west. Should be some nice sunny spells to end the week on Friday, and then as we head into Saturday, starting to see the cooler air move in, so about 11 or 12 Celsius the high. Few showers might just skirt in from the east for our neck of the woods, and then as far as Sunday goes, might see a few showers coming in just in from the North Sea, but lighter breezes, but a little bit cooler.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you very much, James. It's Big Coat Day tomorrow.
Big Coat Day?
Winter coat, isn't it?
I have to get my big coat out.
Yeah, it's getting colder.
Oh my goodness, how depressing.
I know. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and we will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.
A very good night. Bye-bye.